Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Read M. My name is Emily, and in today's video, I will be showing you how my week of the Winterween Readathon went. So last week I decided to participate in the Winterween Readathon hosted by Gabby from Gabby Reads and Olivia from oliviareadsalatte. This readathon was basically all about reading thrillers, mysteries, horror, and it was especially good if they kind of took place in the winter. So there were 5 prompts. The first one was to read a book with snow on the cover. The next was to read books that took place in winter, so these went together very well. The next was just thrills and chills, which basically meant to just read a thriller. The fourth one was to read a novella, and the fifth one was to read a book entirely in the dark or at night, so that also went well with the novella. Overall, this week and this readathon was really fun, really successful. I even had a 5-star read, and I'm very excited for you guys to all see it. So without further ado, let's go back in time to past me at the start of the readathon. Okay, so the Winterween Readathon has commenced, and I have started my first read, Near the Bone by Christina Henry, and I've gotten to page 4, which is very exciting, but it actually started out very interesting so far. There is intrigue on both a sort of creature that could be in this area, in this secluded cabin area, but there also is some suspicion surrounding our main character's Maddie's husband, I think he is, or boyfriend, because she keeps thinking like, oh, I need to do this thing or else he'll punish me. And it sounds very ominous. So I'm intrigued and I'm excited to continue reading. And the challenge that Near the Bone could fulfill is obviously winter setting and snow on the cover and thrills and chills. I'm not reading this one at night or in the dark. I'm probably gonna do that for the novella, so this one does not fulfill that. But anyway, for now, this is my first read. I'm excited to try to make some headway into this one today. So now, next up, my mother, who is also participating in this readathon, will be updating you on what she's reading.
I am reading Comfort Me with Apples. I don't know if you can see it there.
By who?
It is by Catherine M. Valente. And Comfort Me with Apples does not sound particularly thrills and chills, but so far it's got a creepy start because I'm doing the audiobook. It's short, it's my novella, but it is a little bit, you know, an air of foreboding. So I'm already at 15%. I think it's going to be very scary.
Okay, sounds good. So that last clip that I actually just filmed was supposed to be me making cookies, but then we ate all of them within literally like 5 seconds, so I forgot to film the actual cookies. But that is just evidence of how great they were. Sometimes you just need to make Pillsbury cookies on a weeknight. But anyway, yesterday I managed to get to around page 90 of Near the Bone by Christina Henry, as I have right here, and today I think I'm planning on finishing it because I'm getting more and more into it. Obviously I'm getting more pages into it, but I feel like the more pages you get into a story, the more invested you're becoming and the faster you start to read it. This morning I actually got my hair cut and I didn't have a copy of this on my Kindle or anything, so I couldn't read it while I was there, so I just read a different book, but not for Winterween. That was just a book I had already been reading that was on my Kindle. That's gonna return from the library soon anyway, so I decided to just get a little head start on that. But for the rest of the day, my real goal is to just continue and hopefully finish reading this. So my thoughts on it so far or that it's really great. It is quite different though, honestly, than I was expecting. Yes, there is a potential creature and it is in a secluded cabin on top of a mountain with lots of snow, as the cover and the synopsis suggest. However, the angle that I think is not really shown in the synopsis as much is that yes, her husband is also very threatening, and it does say that in the synopsis, but the vibes of the way in which he's threatening are not what I was expecting. And this is like not a spoiler at all. It's literally in like the first few pages, but it just doesn't say in the synopsis, is that the reason that he's threatening is because he is very religious and like is basically holding her captive. Not just that he's like a threatening husband who's potentially abusive, it's like literally like cultish. And I just feel like I was not getting those vibes from the back of this. It just kind of weirded me out in the very beginning because it was right away that it was like this, and I thought it would say something about that on the back, but it didn't. But I'm really enjoying it, and the style in which it's written is really interesting. I'm not gonna say exactly what I'm talking about because that doesn't happen until a little bit later, but you'll know if you've read it. The style in which the text appears is really what I'm talking about. And once that started happening, I was like, oh, okay. And now this is something that I'm really just wondering, and I want my questions answered, is that it's so evident from the very first few pages of this book that, you know, something happened to this main character in the past. Like, it seems like she's a missing child and she was kidnapped by this weird man. Like, she keeps talking about like her old memories of her old life, and it seems like so obvious, like, you know, but it's like so obvious that I feel like something must be different than what I'm expecting. Because it's like, the author is obviously trying to get you to think that. Like, she even uses the words like search parties. It's like a memory of the main character. Like, obviously that's gonna make you think that she's like a kidnapped child. But also, if they want us to think that, is that really what it's gonna be? I don't know. I'm very interested to continue. Okay, I'm just gonna get back to reading and I'm gonna update you guys when I hopefully finish day 2 of Winterween. One of your presents is for me, and this is gonna be a good book that you can read for free.
Alright, should I open it?
Yeah.
It's just a long video. Oh,
here it is.
Oh, this, I did not guess this. Oh, an unwanted guess by Shari Lapina.
I've apologized for this mildly horrendous lighting. It's looking a bit orange, but I wanted to lie down because my leg really hurts in my back because I have to get injections for my back every few months, and I got them yesterday, so I'm gonna be quite sore for the next week. So I didn't feel like getting into a chair, so this is where I am. But I do want to update you guys. So today is actually day 4 of Winterween. However, yesterday it was day 3 and I made a lot of progress, but then I had my injection, so I was kind of tired. But I need to update you guys that I finished Near the Bone by Christina Henry, and I, for the most part, really did enjoy this book. I'm giving it 4 stars. You can see my full review for this on my Goodreads and my blog. I'll link them down below with full spoilers, full thoughts. My Goodreads one tags the spoilers, so if you want to read a spoiler-free version, you can check there. If you want to read a full spoiler version with no tags or anything, then check out the one on my blog. Overall, this was very entertaining, but I did have some problems with it. I think that the synopsis is quite misleading. It makes it seem like there's gonna be like a suspicious husband and a big monster in the woods, and there is a monster in the woods and the husband is a horrible person, but the dynamic between the couple is not what the synopsis makes you think it is, and it's not like a twist what it ends up being. It's literally like in the first chapter, like, you know what the actual situation is, but it's just like not really what the back is giving you. And the first half of this book really is about our main character Maddie's like mental deconstruction and this relationship she has with her husband. And then the second half is really like the more monster stuff and the thriller parts. That was way more exciting to read for me, at least. I do think that the monster definitely takes a back seat to the relationship of the husband stuff. I think a lot of the plot was very like visible, like the author's hand was very visible. I could see certain plot points that I think only occurred because they were convenient, or the author wanted to get rid of problems that she didn't know how else to get rid of. So I don't know, I just thought it wasn't the most well done, and also the very ending stuff with the monster, it's left very ambiguous, and I can appreciate an ambiguous ending if there's some sort of meaning attached to it, like metaphor or I don't know, something like that. But this one had neither meaning nor explanation, so that's not really my favorite thing. And I tried to read a bunch of reviews to see if I was missing anything, because sometimes that's what happens, but not a single person that I read or watched, no one, and I went to a lot of them, had any sort of insight as to the monster situation. So overall, this was pretty memorable, but I think it could have been better. But I still really enjoyed it, and it was good to read for Winterween, and I'm excited to get into my next one. And I'm also excited to continue reading from Christina Henry. I really want to read The Girl in Red by her, because that just sounds really good, and I've heard really good things about that. And her writing was very strong. I think the plotting could have been done better, but the actual writing itself was very good. So the next book I will be reading, I actually started this morning by listening to the audiobook, and that is 5 Total Strangers by Natalie D. Richards. Now, this book kind of has somewhat low ratings, but I feel like it's because it's going to be a little bit like over the top and crazy, or just kind of like cheesy. I don't really know. I didn't want to read too many reviews about it, but I did see that a lot of my Goodreads friends gave it 4 stars. So like, I feel it's gonna be enjoyable. It seems way less serious than Near the Bone was, and it's also a little bit shorter. It's only 300 pages, where that was 320 pages. Not that much of a difference, but a little bit. And I just know that this one has to do with a high school student, but she goes to a high school actually in California, and she like is from Pittsburgh or something. So she's on a plane and their layover flight gets canceled. So she ends up in a car with 5 strangers who are college students, and she's trying to pretend that she's also a college student, so they'll let her in the car with them, and she doesn't know them, and something's gonna happen where one of them is a killer or a criminal or something. I don't know. Again, didn't want to read too much of the synopsis, but it's pretty good so far. I read 22 pages of the audiobook this morning, and I do think sometimes audiobooks make me zone out a little bit, so I feel like I might have to reread those first pages a tiny bit just to pick up any details that I was missing. So far, I mean, it kind of seems a little bit over the top already with the setup in terms of like the main character and her parents' divorce and like all this like exposition that was given right in the beginning, it just seems like very sudden and strange, but nothing that I can't overlook. Like this one seems like it's supposed to be more cheesy. Like I wasn't expecting that one to be so all over the place plot-wise, but this one I am expecting to, so I feel like I'm hopefully going in with the correct expectations this time, and I'm excited to continue. The prompts that this can fulfill are kind of the same as the other one, which is takes place in winter, thrills and chills, which could just be kind of any thriller, horror, whatever. Both of those would count for that, and snow on the cover. Again, both of them can count for that. And then the only two prompts I still have left to fill are novella and read in the dark, so I think I'm gonna fulfill those together because it'll be easier to read a novella entirely in the dark because it's much shorter. And I'm thinking that I'm going to read The Grown Up by Gillian Flynn, which I found a copy of in my mom's bookshelf, so I'm not sure yet. Depends what happens after I read this one, but I think that's the one I'm gonna choose. But anyway, for today I'm gonna continue reading 5 Total Strangers. This is the aftermath of trying on my clothes, but I think I want to get some reading in of 5 Total Strangers, and I just noticed that Kayla and Erin are live right now. They're doing reading sprints, so I think I'm going to join them until my dinner comes. Found a page. I don't know if you can see this. I don't know if I'm showing it. I think I am right there. It's not focusing, but there's just a sentence with 2 periods. Like, this is not even self-published. This is from source books, and there's just a sentence with 2 periods in chapter 3. How did that happen? Good morning, everyone. I'm wearing a blanket and pajamas, but I had to update you guys because guess what? So today is day 5 of Winterween, and it's a snow day! Okay, I am back for another update. Sorry again for the kind of bad lighting, but we're gonna have to work with it. So today is now day 6 of Winterween, but I do have a huge update for yesterday, which was day 5 of Winterween, because I finished 5 Total Strangers by Natalie D. Richards, and I finished this book ahead of schedule because I was planning on reading 2 full novels and then 1 or 2 novellas on the last day, and I was going to take 3 days each to read the full novels, but this one only took me 2 days, so I decided I'm going to actually try to read another novel today before I get to my novellas tomorrow. But I will update you about that in another second. First though, I want to talk about my thoughts on 5 Total Strangers. So this book was so enjoyable to read. Like, it was so easy to flip the pages. I am obsessed with, like, this font and spacing combination is just like perfect for me. Something about that really keeps me flipping the pages. Also, like, the size of this book, the floppiness of it, was just very readable. I don't know if that makes any sense, but like Near the Bone was like a shorter, more compact book, and the font was smaller, and like it was just stiffer, and it was just a slobber read. Also, the writing in this was just way simpler too. Not that Near the Bone was very complicated, but this one is just like super simple and basic, so it's just really easy to fly through. I actually heard about this book from Lana Condor, the actress from 12 the Boys I've Loved Before, and she reads a ton of thrillers. If I remember, I'll put the video in the description down below where she actually does a bookshelf tour. I forget, it's with some sort of like magazine YouTube channel, but she does a bookshelf tour and she has like tons of thriller recommendations in there, and this one was really fun, so I think I might consider reading some more of her recommendations. Now, this book is nothing revolutionary, nothing that will really stick with you too long, nothing that will blow your mind. However, it was super fun, and I'm deciding to give it 4 stars. Now, if I'm being more critical, the actual like content of the story is probably worth 3.5 stars, but my enjoyment was around 4.5 stars, so I decided to just kind of even out with a nice 4 stars because I personally rate my books more towards enjoyment than I do like towards objective quality or anything like that. So this one I'm gonna give 4 stars, which is the same as I gave Near the Bone, even though I think that's a stronger novel. I do think that this one was more fun to read, so they get the same rating. This was also just such a fun read to do while it was a snow day where I live. It was really snowy yesterday, and this book, like, even though Near the Bone took place in the snow too, that was like a mountain snow vibes. This is like highway snow vibes, and this took place, I live in Pennsylvania, so that's like pretty close to where I'm familiar with, and it was just like really fun to think about like the different highways and like different areas that I sort of like have been to before, and like that kind of snow in like a modern day setting versus like the mountainous terrain, which is not really, you know, what I'm dealing with when it snows. The only thing about this book that I thought was so strange was that there are so many typos. Like, so many. I think I found at least 10, and I didn't like mark them or anything because I didn't realize there would be so many, but I would have if I realized. Like, I kind of feel like I should have, because there was multiple instances where there was 2 periods instead of 1. There's multiple instances where a word was italicized and then the first letter of the next word was also italicized when it wasn't supposed to be. There were missing words, there were missing spaces between like periods and quotes and like other stuff like that, and it was just very weird. So I don't know why that was happening. This is not self-published. Like, this is from Sourcebooks Fire, which is a big publisher, and this is the 10th printing of this book, so it's not even like the first printing where they missed a bunch of things. I feel like maybe what happened was, for this printing, they like somehow put the wrong file into the printer, like an older file that had some of the errors still, because I don't understand how I could go through 10 printings and have like over 10 typos in it, like blatantly obvious typos. But to me, that didn't impact my rating in any way, although I could see why people think it seems more like unprofessional and strange, because I'm also very confused why it was like that. But overall, this book was just really fast-paced and fun. Definitely delivered on the premise that it said it would be delivering. Do I think it was like the best thing in the entire world? Definitely not. Like, if you're looking for some thriller that is gonna like be super crazy revolutionary, so memorable, and like you're gonna want to reread it and like have it forever, this is not that. But if you want something that you can read in like 2 days, this is definitely that. Like, so I think it's a perfect Winterween read because of the snow, because of how quick it was, and I'm just excited that I got through it. So I've decided, since I have today as an extra day for Winterween, where I can potentially read another thing, I'm planning on going to Indigo, which is a bookstore, and I'm gonna hopefully maybe film a few clips of me shopping in there. But we're going to the mall anyway, so I think I'm just gonna go in and look around, and who knows what may happen. So anyway, I'll see you guys. See, also my mom also has an update from yesterday, so stay tuned for that.
The first book that I read was Comfort Me with Apples, and actually I used the audiobook for that, and it was pretty good. I think it did a good job of making me want to figure out what in the world was happening in this very strange situation. But then I wasn't that excited by where it went.
Would you give it a rating?
I gave it a 3 on Goodreads, but I could have given it a 3.5 if Goodreads gave half stars. My next one that I'm currently reading is an Unwanted Guest by...
You saw the unboxing, everyone.
Right, Shari Lapina, and so far I really like it. I'm not super far. I'm only on page like 40 something, I think, 43. Okay. But you know, so far so good.
But you read that part in like one sitting.
Very promising. Yeah, it made me want to read more, and then it was too late, so I didn't want to stay up too late.
Then this happened and you fell asleep like that.
That's exactly what happened. But
that could be very exciting.
I'm looking forward to it.
Hello everyone, I'm back with another update. And I did end up going to Indigo as well, and I took one tiny little video. It was really crowded and I didn't want to like film in front of everyone, I don't know. So I only filmed like a tiny clip, but I did pick up a book that I thought would be perfect for Winterween, and my mom has also been really wanting to read, so I don't think she's gonna read it during Winterween, but I just thought it'd be a good thing to pick up for both of us. And that is A House at the Bottom of a Lake by Josh Mallardman. And I heard about this novella from Books and Lala, and also Booked and Busy recommended it as well. I saw her read it in a vlog recently and she also loved it, and that just really motivated me to want to pick it up now, because I remember Kayla liking this like years ago, and it had kind of fallen off my radar. But then I just remembered it recently because of Erin's video, and it got me really excited to read it. And I saw that they had it at the store, which they normally don't have it in many bookstores because it's a novella and it's like a backlist title, so it's not often at different stores. But Indigo is huge and they had it, so I bought it and I read the entire thing last night. I was gonna update you guys like when I was reading it or like after I finished last night, but it was like so late and I was like in the darkness scared because this book is so creepy, and oh my god, I just loved everything about this. I think that I understand why it has really low ratings and why people hate it, because, well, no, I guess I don't. Like, I can see why people wouldn't like it, but I don't understand why they wouldn't like it. Like, this book is just, it's so good. It's so good. It's like the writing of The Body by Stephen King meets the horror of House of Leaves and I'm Thinking of Many Things. If any of that appeals to you, read this book. This is like my favorite type of horror. This is the horror that I enjoy in movies and books. Like, I want a movie of this so bad. Like, give me an A24 movie of this book immediately and I will watch it in theaters and will be crying out of fear and excitement at the same time. All you have to know about the book is literally the title. It's just two people find a house in the bottom of a lake. All you need to know. Don't know anything else. Just go into it, be excited, and be ready for weirdness. Be ready for the unexplained. Be ready for, does this mean something? Be ready for creepiness and eeriness, and yeah, that's really all I can tell you going into this, because I just think that everyone should read it and it's so good, and I don't understand why it has a low rating, where like I kind of do, but I also don't, because It's just so good. I mean, same thing with I'm Thinking of Ending Things. That has bad ratings too, but it's great. It's iconic. Like, just read this book. Just read the book. This is by far my favorite from Winterween so far. 5 out of 5 stars. Favorite book of the year so far. I've only read 4 books, but first 5-star of 2022, and I'm glad it's this one. Like, this is definitely an all-time favorite, just in general, and I'm excited that I have a physical copy to put on my shelves too. So with that, today is actually day 7 of Winterween, the final day, and I have a goal to read at least 1 more novella today, but maybe 2. The first one that I'm thinking of is The Grown Up by Gillian Flynn, who wrote Gone Girl, which I really enjoyed, and she's written other books too that I think I have Dark Places, but that's like a full novel, so I'm not gonna read that today. But I do have The Grown Up, which my mom, I'm pretty sure, enjoyed. This is tiny. Like, I could read this in less than an hour. So I think I'm gonna try to read this today. So I think today, my goal is to definitely read The Grown Up and maybe read Night of the Mannequins. So I'm gonna update you guys once I get more reading done. And I'm very excited because Winterween has just been great so far, a great start to my reading for 2022, and I'm very excited about that because 2021 ratings-wise was such a flop, and 2022, it's looking up. It's looking like, at least for the horror book, this first week of the year, I had a good beginning. So that is exciting. Everyone's gonna like this video now because they got to see you and your beautiful face.
So for my second book in Winterween, I read An Unwanted Guest by Shari Lapina. I always forgot the name of the book. It was my second one.
It was so good that you forgot
good.
it.
Yeah. Well, you know, it was pretty good. It was a decent whodunit, entertaining enough, but then the only problem I had was that at the end, it was one of those endings where they just dumped a whole lot of information on you all of a sudden that, you know, you didn't know before and you couldn't have known, and even though you might have been able to figure out which of the people was the guilty party, you know, you never could have figured out that backstory. So that was a little bit disappointing by the end. So I thought, you know, all in all, a decent whodunit, but you don't have to read it if you're not dying to read it.
What would you rate it?
I gave it a 3. I thought it was...
But you thought it was enjoyable mostly through till the end.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I don't think it was as well written as the first one I read, The Comfort Me with Apples. That one was more creative and, you know, better written, but it wasn't the same kind of book at all. Like, this one was a good ride, and then the end was decent. I mean, it made enough sense. It just wasn't something that was like, oh my god, that was so cool. You didn't
throw your book against the wall?
Yeah.
In rage
no,
or
I wasn't enraged or throwing it up in the air with excitement.
Enjoy.
And then the third book I read for Winterween turned out to be my favorite one. And that was a book called, I wanted to show you the cover, that's why I'm looking.
Oh, okay.
Can you see it?
Oh, you had it prepared.
Yeah, I had it prepared. A Man Named Doll, and it was by Jonathan Ames. And that one, it's not a murder story, it's not a ghost story, but I thought it fit with Winterween because it still was a thrilling kind of story. It was definitely in the style of the old, like, Los Angeles private detective, like a film noir kind of thing. And it was really a fun one. I really liked that one a lot. Again, you know, maybe not anything spectacularly new and different, but very entertaining the whole time. I liked the characters a lot. There was a dog who was a very key player in the book, and the main characters were very likable. And the whole time I wanted to know what was going to happen. I read it very quickly. So I gave that one a solid 4.
So that was your favorite one?
That was my favorite one of Winterween.
Okay, so that was a good little readathon for you.
It was really fun. I'm really glad we did it.
I'm gonna try to cover my mom and Austin down there with my head, so you're not really in it, but that's okay. I just want to give a recap as to all the reads that I read for Winterween. And firstly, I'm just gonna start with the one that I most recently finished yesterday. And yesterday I ended up reading The Grown Up by Gillian Flynn, which is one of the novellas I was talking about yesterday. I did not end up getting to Night of the Mannequins because I ended up watching Batman with my friend, but you know what? It's okay. I still read 4 books this week for Winterween. And just quick thoughts on The Grown Up. It's really short, so I won't really say anything about what it's about, but it's like pretty classic Gillian Flynn writing style, and I enjoyed it mostly until the very ending. I think could have been better, but it was still interesting, and I gave it 4 stars, and I would recommend it. So overall, I had a very successful Winterween. I read, as you can see right here, I read Near the Bone, 5 Total Strangers, A House at the Bottom of the Lake, and The Grown Up. So 2 of these were full novels and 2 of them were novellas, less than 200 pages, one of them less than 100 pages. And overall, I gave all these books 4 and 5 stars, which I feel like is very successful, especially considering last year in 2021, a lot of my reads were 3-star reads, and it was very disappointing. But so far, we're starting 2022 out with a bang, and that is very good. I really enjoyed doing this readathon. I want to try to do some more readathons this year, because I feel like it's a good way to motivate you to read a lot of books and like challenge you to read certain ones that you didn't have high up on your TBR at the moment, and it was just like a fun way to have a theme and control your reading and be motivated to read more in a certain week. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys again soon. Bye!